Hallo Leute, willkommen zur Folge von Doki Doki Literature Club Blue Skies World. Letzte Folge haben wir die Netzroute komplett abgeschlossen, jedes Ending, nur etwas Kleines haben wir beiseite gelassen, denn das soll ich für euch lassen. Und heute werden wir uns auf die Yuri-Route konzentrieren. Ich bin sehr gespannt. Ich würde auch sagen, wir starten direkt mit dem New Game, denn ja, also wir haben das hier schon alles erkannt. Yes. I knew it. So, also neues Spiel und alles so. Wir kennen natürlich schon die ganze Route hier. Und die neuen Sachen alles so. Und wir werden natürlich alles skippen, was wir schon hatten. Jedoch wird sich natürlich es ändern. Yuri. So. Und jetzt zeigt schon mit neuen Text an. Hey, could you help me pick out a book you think I like? Oh, I'm be happy to if the prospect isn't too off-putting. I know of a wonderful horror novel. To be honest, no horror never particularly appealed to me. Still, I want to take an effort here. I have an open mind. What book were you thinking of? Blushing, Yuri bends down and removes a thick book from the bookcase. It has a large, piercing eye on the cover. It almost feels like it's staring into my soul. One of my personal favorites. Portrait of Markov. I know it might look intimidating, but this is so sorry. She takes her head and goes to the book bag, but to put the book back. But I stop her. Don't worry about it. I love to check it out. What's it about? A coy smile plays across her face, as though she were pleasantly surprised by my enthusiasm. Let's see, the protagonist is a young high school student who moves in with her sister, but shortly after, sinister things start happening. The two are captured by an ominous cult that practices nightmarish experiments on their prisoners. Throughout the story, she's forced to make choices no one her age should have to make. In the process, her ability to trust others is warped, and many of her relationships are broken as a result. Pretty dark, but hey, I'd be lying if I said I didn't, it didn't sound interesting. Well, it definitely sounds pretty engaging. I think I'll read this book then. Natsuki mumbled something, but she's barely out of earshot. Really? You don't have to if you don't want to. I do. While this might not be what I usually pick, your description of the plot intrigued me. Although I have to ask, what makes this your favorite book? If I had to put it into words, I suppose I'm a... Oh, what did I say, Yuri? I suppose I'm a big believer in literature's ability to challenge the psyche, so to have such an immersive tale question your ideals and foundations can be extremely exhilarating. She smiles and twirls a long and lavender strand of hair around with her finger. Jetzt geht's schon los. Words are immensely powerful. They can paint some stunning portraits, invoke emotion, or even whisk oneself away to an entirely new dimension. As she continues to speak, she transforms from the timid girl I just met into a proud and confident expert. I get the impression that she feels more at home with books rather than other people. Isn't that exhilarating, Kazuma? You have such a vast vocabulary at our disposal, with such a powerful resource at our fingertips. You can do anything. I clear my throat, hoping that I don't put her off with my evident inexperience. Yeah, when you put it that way, I can understand how powerful the written word can be. I scratch the back of my head nervously. Fortunately, she finds that to be a satisfactory answer. One must look at the words on the author chose. There are so many synonyms, so what compelled the other author to shape the story the way they did? The feeling I get when I finally finish a truly compelling novel leaves me totally breathtaking. I wish I had something as coherent to respond with. We might as well be from different planets. I think I know what you mean. She closes her eyes, pulling her hands close to her chest, then, as though remembering she's not alone, she suddenly blinks and immediately appears more bashful. Oh goodness, I'm sorry, I must have gotten lost in my train of thought. She finishes with a thin clip in her hair, sliding it up and down. I don't worry about it. It's nice to see you talk about something you obviously enjoy. Who's to say otherwise? Yuri glances over at Natsuki, who simply raises her eyebrow in reply. Does Natsuki not like those kind of story? She sighs and turns to look out of the window. That's putting it lightly. We have our differences in what we enjoyed literature-wise. She frowns slightly, as though pained by Natsuki's apparent disapproval. Well, I think everyone's different tastes are what make literature interesting, especially when talking about it with other people. And can't help but grin. I feel like that was actually pretty clever. Yes, that's a good way of looking at it. Reach over and take Portrait of Markov from her, tucking it under my arm. Well, I'll give this a bit of a read and see how far I can get tonight. I appreciate you giving it a chance, even if it's not something you're used to. I'll be looking forward to hear your opinion. I must warn you though, Once you get past a few chapters, you might have trouble putting it down. And perhaps tomorrow, I mean, if you want to, we could discuss it. She looks quite nervous as she just suggests that. Guess that's just how her personality is. Maybe we can do that tomorrow. Thanks for the recommendation, Yuri. I do need to branch out and try new things. This be a good place to start. I'm grateful that I get to read it on my own, at least for now. I also have no idea if I even like it, and if I were reading with her and decided I didn't, that might make things a little awkward. With the book in hand, I make my way to the desk. The others are all now preoccupied, so this seems like a convenient time to start the story. Okay. It's definitely an unusual book. Horror was never really my thing, but I have to admit the main idea is intriguing and the main characters are written well. The more I read, the more I can see why it appeals to Yuri. All that talk about appreciating sophisticated language. While it's not exactly my kind of story, to their credit, the author does a good job building up the rather bleaker situation. I've not been particularly imaginative, but even I can picture the scenes in my head. If I weren't so tired, I could probably engage with it more. Over time, I can't help but grow a little bored, though. I guess I've read enough to be able to discuss it with you tomorrow, so I decided to call it there. Looking up, I spot Sayori reading something. Might as well see what she's up to. I've already read this for long enough. Standing up with a stretch, I make my way over und take a seat next to her. Und das hatten wir schon, okay. Okay, das heißt, anstatt mit Netsuki Kontakte zu haben, machen wir mit Yuri Kontakte und werden ein bisschen in ihre Welt reingezogen und lesen das Portrait of Morkov. Sehr interessant. So, it's time to write a poem. So, jetzt müssen wir Sachen... Massacre. Okay. Empty vielleicht? Okay, nee, das ist... Okay. Unrequited. Oh, okay, doch nicht. Incurrent. So, also wir probieren natürlich das meiste auf Yuri zu bekommen. Raindrops. Bliss. Ah, doch nicht. Okay. This way. Yep. The Spice. Yep. Frightening. So, etwas schwierige Wörter gefallen Dings ganz viel. Skipping a tone. Playing of philosophy. Voilà. Melancholy. Intellectual. Extraordinary. Ah, noch nicht. Contamination. Voilà. Mausoleum. Abstract. Infallible. Und Psychative. Voilà. Okay, wir haben das meiste aber auf Yuri bekommen. Okay, gut. So, also hier ist alles gleich. Ich kann mir nur gut vorstellen bei den Poems vielleicht, dass es ein bisschen anders ist. Und hier. So, isn't this the book from yesterday? Upon seeing the confused look on my look, she hastens to explain. I thought you'd like to have your own copy so that you can read it on your own as well. I honestly don't know what to say. How is that she only known me for a day, yet she's already done something that is thoughtful for me? Oh, Yuri, thank you. That's really thoughtful of you, but you didn't have to do that for me. I feel kinda bad. I'm sorry, I didn't mean for that. I just, I understand if you don't want to read with me anymore, so... Honestly, she gets more adorable by the minute. Please, it's fine, I'd love to read it with you. I just wasn't expecting you to buy me a copy of my own. Are you sure? I don't want to force you. Seriously, Yuri, I'm sure after all. I grin at her. It is a good book. She timidly returns my smile, relaxing a little bit. I'm glad you seem to think so. How are you liking it so far? She looks at me with wide, expectant eyes. She must be really worried that I'm not enjoying it as much as her. To be honest, I've been pleasantly surprised. While horror isn't really my thing, it really kept my attention. Even though I haven't gotten very far yet, I found myself feeling sorry for the protagonist. Language pretty, engaging? It certainly makes me think about it. As I praise the book, her face grows visibly more relieved, and her eyes light up as I mention the language. I'm glad you think so. One not only needs to look at what is being said, but how it's phrased. It can entirely change the desired message, wouldn't you agree? Oh boy, I hope we don't get into a depth discussion about the language. I'm still nowhere near Yuri's level with this sort of thing. Oh, totally, I never really thought about it until you brought it up with me. Really made me look at it with a bit more scrutiny than I would normally. She blushes at this, turning away slightly. Really? I helped you with that? I have to admit, you really managed to open my eyes to this sort of thing. Or should I say, my third eye? Yuri's silence makes me nervous. Did I make a mistake? You know, because the book mentions third eye and there's an eye on the cover? Ah, I see. Probably best not to comment on her accidental continuation of the pun. Tough crowd. Oh, I see. You were making a joke. I'm sorry, I didn't realize. No worries, I just thought it was a good one. She smiled bashfully. Yes, it is quite humorous, isn't it? Phew, I think that means everything is okay now. Now that everyone's settled. Oh, okay. I'll have to talk to you a bit more, especially after she gave me that book. However, she seems to be focused on her own book. I'm worried I might just distract her. As she lifts it up to turn the page, I get a glimpse at the cover. It's the same book that she gave me, and it looks like she only just started it. Oh damn, I hope she doesn't think I was staring at her. Eyes meet, but her eyes start away quickly. Sorry. No, it's fine. I didn't mean to stare, I was just spacing out a bit. Oh. But if it had been actually concentrating, I wouldn't have noticed. I meant to ask though, is that the book you gave me? Mm-hmm. It's one of my favorites, so I thought I'd give it another read though. True. Not funny, reason I show you. I see, but why do you have two copies of the same book? Well, I know I lent you the book yesterday, but I figured you might feel more comfortable with your own copy. I know that I always feel more at ease when I'm really handling my own belongings. If an accident happens, there's less at stake than if you damage someone else's property, so... you're probably less clumsy than I am, though. Yuri, the ever-graceful girl, thinks that she's clumsy? No, I'm pretty sure I'm just as clumsy as you, if not more so. Oh, right. Anyway, after our meeting adjourned yesterday, I went to the bookstore to get you, that is to say, I forgot I already had a copy and accidentally bought another, and it seemed like I was to just hold on to it. Couldn't you have just returned it though? They're already closed, so. There's something fairly obvious yet that Yuri isn't telling me, but I decided to let it go. I guess it doesn't really matter. I'm glad that you gave it to me. I'll get started on it right away. That makes me happy to hear. It's the kind of story that really draws you in. If not careful, you can lose track of time very easily. I know I've opened it for some light reading before bed, only to close and find out the sun's rising. I'm sure that won't happen to you though. You'll be able to get enough sleep as usual. That is unless you generally find yourself lacking sleep, in which case you should go to bed earlier. But you can do whatever you want. I don't mean to overstep my bounds. Oh, don't worry about it, Yuri. I'll be sure to read it earlier in the day. Do you mind telling me a bit more about it? Oh, I'd love to. Now, where do I begin? You delicately closed the book, her eyes scanning the cover. Well, actually, I don't think I could give an adequate explanation of my own. If I were to tell you more about the story than I did yesterday, it would lose a lot of its impact. Forgive me if it sounds like I'm brushing you off, that's not what I intended. It's alright, Yuri. Come to think of it, you did summarize it well enough already. Yes. I'm sorry, I seem to get lost in my own mind whenever I talk about these kinds of story. Don't you have anything like that, Kazuma? I guess so. Yuri nods with a delicate smile. Everyone has a deeply held interest that stirs the passion within their heart. I suppose for me it would be my novels and... Yuri cuts herself off as though she was about to say something she didn't want to. Well, you know what I mean. What got you into these stories though? I guess gesture towards the book in her arms. Do your parents enjoy them as well? You pause for a moment, shyly looking down at her feet. She seems to be going over what she wants to say in her head. I've always had an interest in the macabre. This genre can easily throw you for a loop. But many stories are simply content to introduce an antagonist and condition the reader to root against them. Looks like this one can find ways to flip that narrative on its head. So while you might initially find yourself relating to the protagonist, you might suddenly find out that they're their own worst enemy. I'm rambling, aren't I? Please forgive me. I really should try to think about health more. I promise I'm not mad at you. You're just passionate, which is pretty cool. It is? For a brief moment, a tiny smile teases at the corner of Yuri's mouth. Well, I try not to worry about it too much. But sometimes I get distracted, and when I think about books and writing, I forget where I am, and I start speaking my mind. So please forgive me if I say anything unusual. Now I seem like I'm not paying attention, please let me know. I really don't think you need to worry about that, Yuri. It is a literature club after all. Isn't that the sort of thing we should be discussing anyway? Ah, I suppose so. So on that note, would you like to read a bit together? You don't need to force yourself to spend time with me if you don't want to. What if I do? You really want to spend your time with me? Of course, Yuri. Book in hand, I slide into the desk next to Yuri. Is everything okay? Yes. I'm terribly sorry, Kazuma. I'm just not too accustomed to reading in company. It's usually been a solitary affair for me, you see. Yeah, I can understand how this might seem a bit unsettling for you. If it gets overwhelming, let me know. I won't be offended if you need some space. Alright. I opened the book, allowing the hardcover to flop against the desk. As I read through the prologue, I noticed Yuri glancing over at my book. I'd be lying if I said it wasn't comforting in a way, but somewhat distracting. I'm sorry. I hope I wasn't distracting you. Yuri, why do you apologize all the time? You really done nothing wrong. Do I? I can't help it, I suppose. It's like an involuntary reflex. If I preemptively apologize, I lessen both my disappointment myself as well as others' disapproval of me. I didn't mean to make things so awkward. Sorry. I mean, it's okay, don't worry about it. How about we do this? I push out the two desks together, then slide my book between the two of them. Oh, Dick. Ah. I suppose that will work. You puts her own copy away and shifts a bit closer to me. I set the right side of the book between my thumb and forefinger. Yuri does the same with the other side. Also ich hab so Schluck auf. Perfect, now we can both go through it at the same pace. Yes. Yep. Ah. The two of us are huddled together closely for the book, carefully reading it. I can see Yuri's gentle face in my peripheral version. She has a stern, focused expression, her eyes slowly scanning each page. Do you need a bit more time? With this page? Sorry, I guess I'm not really too quick of a reader. I look over and our gazes meet. There's a coy sparkling to her eyes. It's quite alright, Kazuma. You can go at whatever pace you're comfortable with. After all, you've been so patient with me today. It'd only be fair for me to return a favor, wouldn't it? Thanks, I'll try not to take it long. The two of us continue reading in a relative silence. Even though we're so quiet, each turn of the page feels as though we're connected. As I let go of the page, it gently floats over to her and she delicately slides it under her thumb. Kazuma? Having been absorbed by the story, Yuri reels me back in. Sorry, I didn't mean to disturb you. It's fine, what were you going to say? Well, I suppose I just wanted to thank you for this. I'd always hoped I could find someone to share my interest in books with. I never really had anyone read with me before. Having someone else be there is nice. Really? I would thought you at least done some reading with your family. Yes, well, I did when I was younger, but... She trails off, not finishing the thought. I decide not to press so further on it right now. Yuri takes a slow, deep breath. I'm just happy that you're here for me. I mean, with me. Not that I wouldn't want you to be there for me or anything, but... I can't believe I messed things up again. Wait, Yuri, I don't think you've done anything wrong. If anything, I think of that as a compliment. You do? Sure, if I'm being honest, I enjoy your company as well. Okay, everyone. Hey, I think it's about time we shared today's poems with each other. We might not have enough time if we wait too long. Oh. Yuri sighs dejectedly, looking down at the floor. Is that alright, Yuri? You look kind of down. I'm sorry if you haven't been looking forward to this. It's not that. Don't worry about me, I'm alright. Yuri lets go of the book and closes the cover, handing it back to me. We got through a fair bit today, didn't we? Do you mind if I continue a bit further on my own? Or would you prefer if I only read it with you? You don't have to limit yourself on my behalf if you want to keep reading. After all, I already finished this story before. Then I guess I'll continue reading a little bit tonight. Now we have a bit more to talk about tomorrow. Yes, that's a good idea, Kazuma. Just be sure to let me know how far you get so I can avoid spoilers for you. Alright. I skimmed through the book to find the page we left off and folded it slightly to mark for later. By the way, okay, das ist etwas schon kennen. Ich würde sagen, wir fangen dann mit Yuri an. Yuri seems the most experienced, so I should start with her. I can trust her opinion to be fair. Yuri's eyes seem to sparkle as she reads my poem. My goodness, this is unparalleled. I think that might be a bit much. Oh, forgive me if that didn't sound sincere. Yuri first covers her mouth, but then ends up covering her whole face. Don't sweat it, Yuri. I just wasn't expecting to hear such a compliment from you yet, or from you already. I see. Yuri clears her throat. Well, I just want to say, this is truly an impeccable poem. Yuri glances down back at my poem. So, I assume this isn't your first piece, am I correct? Your composition incorporated a lot of beautiful poetic devices and imaginary indicative of an experienced writer. Well, I hate to disappoint. But this is kind of my first time doing this sort of thing. You're joking, right? I shake my head. If I ended up winning a good poem, it's totally coincidental, I'm afraid. I see. Well, in that case, I think you had a wonderful gift. Although, if you would like, I could offer you some advice for your future poems. Yuri's eyes light up, as though she's been looking forward to this. Please do, I need all the help I can that. I just note a few qualities consistent with never you or writers that showed up in your poem. Perhaps what stands out the most is that you tried very hard to make the structure of this poem your own. And that's okay, but if this is the first poem you've written, it might be prudent to consider more traditional structures, couplets, sonnets, haiku, and the like. If you're not confident in your writing style, I'll show it in your piece. Yuri is a totally different person once she gets going. Das ist schon Sachen, die wir aber kennen. Okay. You really think so? It might be a bit much, Kazuma. No, I really mean it. I think I could learn stuff from your poetry, Yuri. Really? Yeah, of course. Huh. You know, at first, the prospect of sharing my writing was terrifying. But I'm really glad I was able to do it. Hopefully I can write another piece that you like, Kazuma. I look forward to it, Yuri. Okay. Ich würde dafür sagen, wir wandern nach Theorie. Scheint gleich zu bleiben. Okay, Donetski. Kazuma, if you're really not gonna try, then you're better off just leaving the club. Jeez, you don't beat around the bush, do you? Why should I? This is just plain bad. Hey, do I look like a writer? This was my first ever poem. Yeah, it's probably garbage, but I still tried. If you're so confident, let's see the first poem you wrote, huh? It's hard to think about. Fine. I am sorry if you're offended. Way to avoid a direct apology. But next time, at least try a little bit harder. Nowhere to go but up, eh? Yeah, sure, whatever. Just read my poem. Knowing you'll probably hate it. Das hier erinnert mich nicht. Sometimes some folks are winners, some only lose, some are go-getters, some only cruise, sometimes you try harder and give it a all. Sometimes you give up, what else can we do? Die hatten wir aber anscheinend schon. Okay. Dann noch Monika. So, und Good work, Kazuma. Really? You can lay the brutal truth on me if you want. Nee, warte, das war hier. You can lay the brutal truth on me if you want. Okay. You don't have to be so harsh on yourself. This is your first time writing poetry, isn't it? That it is. It usually takes a while for people to become completely comfortable with their writing. Even then, they're constantly evolving their style and changing things up. I guess that's true. Either way, you shouldn't have very high expectations for me. If you don't, my poems will seem better when I actually put in some effort anyway. I'm under that line half jokingly to myself, but it seems like Monica still punked about it. Kazuma, that's not very fair. More importantly though, you should have faith in yourself. sorry. Anyway, about your poem, the subject was deeper than I expected out of you. You just don't understand the troubled genius of my angst within mind. That might be written so. Guess we have two troubled and angsty geniuses in this club then. You're talking about Yuri, right? You're in a style very similar to Yuri's. Your writing is full of imaginary and symbolism. While Siri and Netsky like to use simple and direct words to communicate their messages, Yuri likes to use complex dictation and syntax to allow readers to derive their own meanings out of it. In other words, a vocabulary and sentence structure are usually quite involved. Ah, yeah, that sounds like a right. It might be a bit tough to understand her writing at first, but what seems opaque actually has very deep meanings behind it. And it seems of her poems were definitely hard to even figure out. She sounds like the sort of person that any English teacher would love. Don't worry, Kazuma. If you just give her writing a few weird thoughts, I'm sure you find out that they're far from incomprehensible. So you say. Are you sure that my writing is similar to hers? I think it's an understatement to say that I'm nowhere near her level yet. Don't worry so much about that. You do your own thing. Just keep exploring them by trying new things. Und da haben wir aber schon bekannten Text. Okay. Es geht gut voran. So, oh Gott. Jetzt geht los die Diskussion. Oh boy. This kind of thing only works in amateurs like Kazuma. Ouch, I didn't like where this conversation is headed. Writing this way doesn't make you look any cool or smart, okay? Okay, das... So, das ist Diskussion zwischen Yuri und Netsky. Of course it's going to be... We perfect other types. This is a new year, maybe we should develop this. Of course it's going to be... Wir nehmen mal Monika. Aber das in der nächsten Folge. Hier haben wir alles voll, hier haben wir alles voll. Okay, ich würde sagen, wir nutzen das hier. Das wird etwas für die nächste Folge sein. Denn hier wird's mal gestoppt. Ich bin sehr gespannt, wie es ausgeht. Ich nehme Monika, aber ich glaube, wir haben letztes Mal Yuri genommen und ja. Aber das sehen wir in der nächsten Folge. Wir sehen uns dann dort, ne? Tschüss, danke fürs Zuschauen. Bye bye.